Email is still where most customers reach out for support even in 2025. But they want their answers faster. Today, I will show you a workflow automation that you can build without any code using AI that will turn your slow email customer support system into fast and automated ones. Hi, I'm Kritik, a marketer and a non-tech builder. I am trying to identify business problems that can be solved using AI automations and AI agents. Not just solve, but also significantly drive ROI, especially for small businesses. Pros in the space, feel free to pitch in suggestions and improvements to this automation. Let's get started. So what is the current state of email customer support system within SMBs as of today, right? Email is still one of the most primary platforms that customers prefer in terms of communication. Close to 70% of them still rely on such channels. Given a chance, 40 to 50% of the customers would like to switch to live chat support because of the sole reason that it gives you faster responses. And as you can see, live chat satisfaction outperforms email by around 20%, which is indicating that there's a big gap to improve satisfaction within email support system. The common pains that customer has to face when it comes to email as a support system is the fact that they need to wait long hours to get replies. And even if they do get instant replies, they are probably generic or automated ones and not personalized for them. And third, in case there is escalation going on, sometimes the customer has to repeat themselves twice in order to get the issue resolved. If a customer has to explain the issue twice, you've already spent half the chance to keep him in business. And for you as a business owner, when it comes to customer support, there are common pain points that are hard for you to run away from. The department itself being labor intensive, you will have to bear the costs of hiring, maintaining, and compensating these employees. Plus, you have tools and SaaS subscriptions. The hidden costs are often overlooked. Although you have a single customer rep or an entire team managing customers, they are often burdened with answering simple customer queries instead of solving higher value problems. And most of the times, the owner himself has to involve in customer support, which can result a slower growth all in all for the business. And the business can take measurable revenue hit in case there are a lot of customer service delays. And for a small business, 2 hours a day lost to repetitive emails equals marketing not done, product improvements not shipped, and customers not acquired. Now let's take a look at how can an AI customer support workflow solve these issues. Think of instant 24/7 responses. The workflow has all the knowledge about your company and all the context about the customer. So it will be able to provide instant responses for basic queries unless escalation is needed. The workflow automates repetitive tasks. Think of handling order status, updating your databases, and ticket escalation and answering basic FAQs. The workflow can also give contextual replies to each customer. It knows what customer has asked in the past and what is he asking right now. So he will be able to get personalized answers. And smart escalation. There are effective human in loops involved. So whenever there's escalation needed, the agent smartly loops it to another human in the team. The entire customer support workflow system can be built for a very small team and can scale to larger extent as and when needed. So there's enough flexibility for you to scale the system as and when the business grows. Now that we know what are the problems with email customer support, let's dive right into building an AI automation that solves one of these problems. This is the AI workflow automation that I built for customer support on email. I built this on n8n, one of the leading AI workflow automation platforms, both low code and no code. I also use make.com alternatively at times. I like both platforms. They have their own advantages and disadvantages. So currently, let's stick to this. Think this workflow automation has access to your emails. It keeps watching for new customer support emails, right? And as soon as an email arrives, it classifies them into one of those 4 buckets: ordering query, shipping query, other customer query, or not a customer query. If it is not a customer query, it ends the workflow right then and there. The way it is able to do this is because it's given access to Gemini LLM. Once the emails are classified, respective labels are being attached to these emails, and the customer email is passed on to Mr. Assist. Mr. Assist is our customer support agent over here who has all the knowledge about our company, FAQ, and policy document. So he will be able to give the solution to whatever the customer is asking. That will be done through replying on Gmail again. Over here, mind you that there is no escalation step or there is no tool that is being integrated within the workflow where you can update customer queries and solutions and ticketing and all of that. But the sky is the limit. This is just a basic workflow for you to understand how this is possible for businesses. And on top of this, you can build features for the workflow. So now that we know this, let's go right ahead and start building the automation. So the first step in the workflow is always a trigger, right? So let's give Gmail as a trigger. You would have to create a new credential. Basically, creating a credential means you telling n8n that you have access to my Gmail, that you can read, modify messages. Since I already have an account set up, I won't get this done. Let me try testing the event. Like you can see, my email is fetched. The trigger in itself defaults to simplifying the mail content. We don't want that. So let's switch this off for now. And now you want the workflow to look for classification of the emails, right? Let's add a text classifier over here. As you can see, we have ordering, shipping, other, and not customer queries, right? So let's do the same. Text to classify. This is basically, let's say you have support@yourcompany.com and then you get an email from a customer. That body of the content is supposed to be classified. How can you do this? Let's try and test an email already, right? So I have a dummy email ready. Let's send it. I'll wait to reflect on my inbox. Right. And now what we can try to do is go over here, run this module, right? So the moment you run this, it's able to fetch, and let's look for the body of the content. Yep, here is the customer query. So we want this to be read by the text classifier, classified based on different buckets, right? So let's go to text. We'll add this over here. Let's add categories, just like here. So order and payment query. Right, we have pasted all the details and it looks something like this. Right, emails related to placing orders, billing issues, accepted payment methods, or transaction problems. So there is a category name and there's a category description. This is for the LLM to understand which category does the mail belong to. All right, so I would like to use a Gemini module. Let's search for Gemini, and you will have to get your Gemini API key, which you can get it from Google AI Studio. Right here, there's an option called Get API Key. And yes, you can choose your preferred model. Gemini is free, so I would like to use it for all my test workflows. Now let's try and run this module. Now that the email is fetched, let's see which category does it belong to. It says shipping query. Let's see if it's a shipping query. I placed an order last week for travel backpack and haven't received any shipping updates yet. Perfect. So it's able to classify it perfectly. Let us go back and pin this data. So we don't want to run the trigger again and again. So now this data is going to be fixed, and whatever nodes are being executed after the trigger is going to use this data for now. Perfect. Now let's try to add labels to these emails. Click on this. Let's go to Gmail. Let's search for label, add label to a message. When you go here, again, have to link your Gmail account. If it's already there, you can find it like this. So we need to find the message ID. Message ID is how this node particularly identifies that this is the email that needs to be given the label ID. Right? So you copy the message ID that's right here and you give a label ID. So let's search for customer support ordering/payment. Before you do this, you need to make sure in your Gmail there are these labels prepared already. Similarly, we can duplicate this. So over here, let's make it shipping query. Let's duplicate this. We will add other category over here. If it is not related to customer support, we don't want the workflow to be executed. Let's go to no operation, do nothing. So the workflow ends here. All right. Let's run this step. Perfect. Let's go back. Tag has been added perfectly. Let's save this for now. In order to go further and build an AI agent that knows everything about your company and doesn't deviate from your policies, we need to build something called a RAG agent. So you'll have to understand what a RAG and vector database is, and you need to build something like this for now. Let me show you what it means. First and foremost, I am not a techie, so I'll try to explain it as layman as possible. Think of vector database as a place to store your unstructured data. When I say unstructured, it means text, images, and audio. It is stored in a way that is much more easier, efficient, and faster for LLMs to pull this information. As you can see here, it's stored in a three-dimensional plane where all relevant content or all relevant data towards one category is stored in one particular point. As you can see, animals here and fruits here similarly. If there's marketing, business, financial content in your document, it will be stored in different points so that it doesn't mix match data. Vector database captures meaning of unstructured data like text, images, and audio. It is stored in a high dimensional space. And the best part about vector database is it works on similarity search, not on keyword search. For example, if there was data about wolf, dog, and cat in the vector database, and I searched for something about lion, it would give me something similar towards animals. Versus if there is a keyword search, it would return data saying there's no data about a lion. So vector database enables LLMs to retrieve data or to get data or to fetch data much faster, efficient, and in a much more accurate manner. So what is a RAG, right? RAG is retrieval augmented generation. So this is a simple diagram of how a RAG will look like. So whenever you're trying to upload a document or some sort of data into a vector database, it is broken down into chunks. It is not stored as one single doc within the vector database. It's broken into chunks, and then it is stored into the vector database by an embedding model. So the embedding model will convert this unstructured data into vector format and store it within a vector database. Vector format is basically numbers that the computer can understand. And whenever you ask an LLM a particular response, right? Currently, what is happening when you ask a question to ChatGPT? It will be giving answers based on its trained data that it has across the internet. If you upload a PDF on ChatGPT context window and ask it to retrieve information from here, then it'll be giving you only information that is there in the document. It'll use the overall knowledge of the LLM as the brain, but while giving you the response, it gives you most accurately that is relevant to the document you've uploaded. So that is what we call RAG. It has 3 steps: find relevant info from the docs or database, augment. So it adds that info into the prompt, generates a response that is much more accurate based on the document that you uploaded. Hope this makes sense. Now that you know what a RAG and vector database is, let's go ahead and upload your company documents into the vector database. So how do I do that? First, go ahead and set up your Pinecone account. So once you log in, this is how it's going to look like, and you can generate your API key. I already have mine linked within n8n. Let's try and build a RAG pipeline. And what does a RAG pipeline look like? So over here, as you can see, this is something that I've already built. So Google Drive trigger. So what does it do? Every time a new change is made to a particular document, this workflow is triggered. So because we want the vector database to be completely updated with the newer company information, right? So whenever a change is made to a document, this workflow is triggered. It downloads that particular document, uploads it to our Pinecone vector store. That is all. Very simple, very straightforward. And it uses an embedding model, right? Converts this unstructured data into numbers or vector format to help Pinecone store it in their vector database. And as you can see, this default data loader is basically the kind of data that you are uploading into the vector database store. Recursive character text splitter is basically telling you how you want the chunks to be divided. Let's go ahead and build one right now. On changes to a specific file, you will need to connect your credential. I have already added mine to connect Google Drive to n8n, which means giving all access to n8n. You can open this docs right here, which is very simple and straightforward. You can follow the steps and you will be set up in no time. So we have a trigger. So on every change made, this workflow is activated. I want to choose this particular file. This is the company FAQ and policy document that I've prepared from ChatGPT. We want our customer support agent to be well versed with this particular policy document, so he'll be able to reply to customer emails. So I want to search for Stride Sneaks. Yep. So the moment I click on fetch test event, we have all the data about the document. All right. To be able to upload this into vector database, you'll need to create another Google Drive node that will allow you to download the file. So let's search for download file. We can search for Stride Sneaks. Execute step. Perfect. You have gotten a file downloaded. If you click on download, it will be downloaded to your desktop as well. So we'll set up a Pinecone vector database over here, add documents to vector store. I have my account over here. If you have to create your own credential, you have to paste in your API that I mentioned here and set up your account. And now to be able to push the document into a vector store, we need to create something called as an index. So I'll make this as demo Stride Sneaks. I am going to use text embedding 3 small by OpenAI because it is most efficient. Plus, n8n gives you free credits if you want to use it in the beginning. And I'm going to keep the remaining as it is, and I'm clicking on create index. Great. So we shall go back to our n8n platform and search for our index where we want to push our document. Demo strides next here. This means that you're pushing the FAQ and policy document to this particular index within Pinecone. And we must add a namespace to this. Let's add this as document. Perfect. Now you need to create an embedding model. So let's choose OpenAI and look for text embedding 3 small. n8n free credits already gives you an option. And in place of dimensions, you will need to select what is mentioned over here. We need to add a default data loader. What this means is you need to specify what is the kind of document or data that you're putting into the vector store. We'll click on default data loader, and type of data, we're going to choose it as binary. As you can see, this file over here is in binary format. Under text splitting, you can either keep it as simple or custom. If you choose custom, you will need to add another text splitter node, but we can keep it as default for now. Let's run this. Awesome. What this workflow indicates is a file from Google Drive has been fetched. It's been downloaded and sent to our index within Pinecone vector store. Let's go have a look. There is a policy and FAQ document. And when you go over here, you can see that it's been split in chunks that I spoke about. All right. Now that our Pinecone vector store is set up, we know that there is a specific amount of data within our index in Pinecone. And now we need to just give access of that to our AI agent. So let's go ahead and start building our AI agent. You can either connect a chat node for the user message, which will look something like this, where you can literally chat with the AI agent, or you can define something below. We want to do this because we want the customer query to be automatically passed on to the AI agent. Since we don't have any data here, let's try and run the workflow once. So now we want these nodes to be connected. And for the user message as such, let's go back to the Gmail trigger node and search for the text that the customer has sent. Awesome. This is the user prompt, and we have to make sure we add a system message to this. Let's add a simple prompt for. So I've given a simple prompt, something like this. You're a helpful assistant who can assist customers on their queries. Your name is Mr. Assist. All right. Use the Pinecone tool to access the FAQ and policy document of the company Stride Sneaks. So now this AI agent is being system prompted. He knows what is to be done, and he has a user message that he is getting, which is the customer query. Let's add a chat model to this. I like to use Gemini because it's fast and it's cheap. It's free for users. And as tool, let's make sure we add our Pinecone vector database. So you give the vector store as a tool for the AI agent to use it as a RAG. You need to mention the account. Operation mode is retrieve documents as a tool for AI agent. It's perfect. And description. Use this as RAG for accessing the FAQ and policy document of Stride Sneaks. And from the Pinecone index, we choose the one we set up earlier, which is demo Stride Sneaks. We need to mention the Pinecone namespace as well. And the rest you can leave it as default. You don't have to worry much about it. For this particular tool, you need to add an embedding model. Let's go to OpenAI again. Choose text embedding 3 small. So now this AI agent will be able to give responses to the customer query, right? Let's try and run this. All right, we encountered an error. Let's find out what it is. Okay, the vector dimension does not match. So we go back to embeddings model, add dimensions and choose 5 and 2 because you got to match what is mentioned in the vector database right here. And run this again. Awesome. So let's go back to the output. It says, hello Michael, Mr. Assist here. Stride Sneaks offers a 6-month limited warranty that covers. Perfect. The only last step we need to add is a Gmail send a reply, like reply to a message. And you choose the message ID that is from here. You can keep the email type as text, and the message should be what the AI agent is sending it to you. This looks fine to me. Let's try and send this email out. I must have gotten an email. Great. So it says, hello Michael, Mr. Assist here. Stride Sneaks offers 6-month warranty, limited warranty, so on and so forth. Visit here. You can see that there is no signing off by Mr. Assist. So let's add that too in the system prompt. Sign off as Mr. Assist. Great. Let's keep this data and execute the workflow again. Awesome. I must have gotten another mail. Look at this. Stay awesome, Mr. Assist. So guys, the workflow is completed. This is what we intended to do in this video. This is not even full-fledged yet. You can add a lot more features to it, but this is for a basic customer support function. And just with this, you can automate literally 60 to 80% of basic queries that you get on a day-to-day basis if you are dealing with a large volume of customer base. And there are a lot more things to add to this, features like contextual memory, escalations, and then other tools that you use to make sure all of this is orchestrated much more efficiently and properly. But as a basic workflow, this is what I've built without any code. Let me know how you guys like it. I'm open to looking at how we can improve workflows like this. Feel free to reach out to me if you need any help regarding AI automations and AI workflows. If you want this template, it's readily available for download for free in the description below. And if you like what I'm building, subscribe to the channel.